Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Limit Breakdown, where we break down the latest in TV shows, movies, and things going on in entertainment. I'm your host, Migs.
And Sid. And today we're going to be reviewing Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness. Our too long didn't watch review of the movie is 3.5 hearts. That means it was okay, entertaining, but I'd wait for it to come out on Disney Plus. So stick around after our intro for our deep dive into the movie.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Limit Breakdown. Today we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness. And let's get right into it, man. What were your initial thoughts?
So initially, I had a lot of hope for this movie. Right, I was thinking it's going to connect a lot of the Marvel things that have been going on. I said in our previous video that my thought with this movie was it's going to bring the last phase together and kind of propel the Marvel cinematic movie forward. It didn't do that, which is fine. But as far as the movie go, I don't think it was as entertaining. There was a lot of moments where the movie fell. I don't think the actual writing, storytelling, or the script of the movie were there, and for that exact reason is why I gave it a 3.5 rather than anything above.
I enjoyed the movie. I'm not going to lie to you. My initial reaction was to be a little bit underwhelmed. I had very high expectations going into the movie. I've kind of taken a back seat. I wanted to go see it again, but I didn't get a chance to. But I actually kind of disagree a little bit on the fact that it did do a lot of world building. So full confession here. I've watched a couple of other videos and a couple other different takes on the movie, and some things that I missed on the first watching, and maybe you might have as well. But it did do a significant amount of world building, and then my expectations going into the movie was more along the lines of the satisfaction that we got with Spider-Man: Homecoming. And while there was a lot of rumors, there was a lot of hype and a lot of expectation going into this movie, the story here was much more self-contained, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I've heard a lot of the criticism about this movie, particularly in the direction that they took Wanda. Wanda was unleashed, and I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. Having been a comic book reader, her trajectory in the comic, she's a hero, but she has her moments where she decimates.
Loses her mind.
And so, with this particular one, like, one of the criticisms that I heard most was about how her motivations for doing this didn't make sense because it basically erased her whole progress from WandaVision. But it also kind of ignores the fact that at the end of WandaVision, she picked up the Darkhold, and the Darkhold corrupts. So it wasn't so much that this was her, just going full supervillain. It was more that the Darkhold saw a weakness, exploited that weakness, and corrupted it to its most devastating conclusion, which is what we got in this movie. I honestly thought the story was there. The I think maybe, and I don't know if I'll take the blame on this, is for having such exuberant expectations going into the movie, because like I said, I had heard all sorts of rumors about how, this is going to be the biggest Marvel movie, and this is going to be this, and this is going to be that. So I let a lot of that cloud my judgment. I don't know if I would have been as disappointed had I not had those super high expectations going in.
Yeah, I I understand your point, and I think for a majority of it, it makes sense how they portrayed Wanda. I don't think she was bad per se. Like I agree with you. The Darkhold took her. She was definitely devastated after the events of WandaVision, where she had the loss of her children, and that was her driving force. And the Darkhold basically took that and drove her. I think that was fine. My issue wasn't her motive. My issue was the way the movie itself went about, specifically the conclusion of that, which we will get to a little bit later. But how the movie concluded with her being the antagonist, I think was very rushed and very random. Like, there could have been more.
Yeah,
right? Just adding a sentence here or there would have, elaborated the movie a little bit more. As far as Wanda goes. Nothing against the actors. I think all the actors did a phenomenal job.
Wanda was, Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, like I think the performances were definitely there. Visual effects for majority of it. There was one part that I noticed that you could tell the visual effect, and it actually wasn't a CGI thing. It was an actual makeup thing. But beyond that, visual effects were really good there. I loved closer to the end the Beethoven battle they had. So definitely, the music was on point, but I think it was mainly just, to me, there was a lack in the story, and that's why I gave it the rating I gave it. Right. So let's starting from the top, what do you think? What were your thoughts? You gave it a 3.5 for clearly a reason, but you're saying that you would disagree on the story. Why did you give it the 3.5 hearts?
So the thing that I think holds this movie back for me is more than anything else, like you said, the rushed pace of the story, and also maybe I'm starting to sound a little bit like a boomer when I say this. I wasn't a huge fan of America Chavez's character. I found her kind of annoying, a little bit whiny. What? Look, there were things that I liked about her. I love that she Hispanic superhero with
Hispanic superpowers of.
Well, no, Hispanic superhero with the powers of immigration. Like, that's absolutely great. And she's named America. Come on.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
So it's one of those things where, like, there were things that I liked about her, but she was whiny, she was kind of annoying. There was a part closer to the end where when she started kind of getting a hold of her powers and she started fighting back against Wanda, and for a second there they were making it seem like she was gonna beat Wanda, and I'm telling you, I would have been so upset. This movie would have tanked in the ratings if they would have let America beat Wanda.
Yeah, fair. I can see that.
But yeah, the thing that gave it more than anything that brought it down for me was, like you said, while I do understand the motivations of the Darkhold taking hold of her, like, he didn't need a team that could travel the multiverse. He needed to find Wanda and get her some deep therapy. It was something that like, and then somebody else on Reddit, the meme of the one Indian guy that's always staring like this. Well, it says Wanda searching for her children that she's known for all of 3 seconds, and then it has a picture of Quicksilver, and he's like her brother that she's known her whole life that she's never once looked for.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Yeah, because he actually died.
Yeah.
Rather than in Avengers 2, rather than something that she fabricated. But
yeah, so again, some of the limitations from that story perspective was there. I thought that the events of Spider-Man were going to tie in a little bit more heavily. Like, the biggest thing to tie into here was WandaVision.
The only thing, more or less.
Well, no, because there's an argument that can be made for Loki, because the events at the end of Loki, when they killed He Who Remains, when Sylvie killed He Who Remains, theoretically that's what made the shenanigans with the multiverse possible. because otherwise it would have been the TVA coming in and stopping them whenever they interfered and whenever they traveled into the other multiverses or whenever they branched the timelines. By them killing He Who Remains,
I see what you mean. Okay, it's by him because he was dead. The TVA could not interfere with them time traveling. Dimensional traveling. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, I didn't think about it that way, but makes sense. A little stretch.
So I can see some of that, and yeah, I mean, I thought that Loki might make an appearance. I thought there might be some sort of connection with Spider-Man No Way Home. The only thing was kind of a throwaway reference when they were like, "Oh, what do you know about the multiverse?" He's like, we've had some dealings with it."
Well, the Spider-Man, it's a man that's a spider. No, he has spider powers, and then they were like, "Does he shoot web out of his butt?" And I was like, Tobey Maguire reference. Yeah, I agree. I watched a lot of the Marvel TV shows and movies trying to catch up because of this movie. And that was one of the things I was disappointed in, that nothing was connecting. Now, that's on me because I had high expectations for it to connect, and it did not do that. But that's on me having that viewpoint. The reason I gave it, the movie, it's in its own movie. It actually is a Doctor Strange movie, genuinely, with Wanda in it. So the reason I gave it a 3.5 hearts is, like I said, it was mainly the story. There was multiple points in the story where they could have progressed things. They could have explained what's going on. And I understand the whole show and don't tell thing. Sometimes they do. But as far as this one goes, I think they did not even do that. Specifically, when they show them sleepwalk, I think it was dream walking, where they can basically astral project to a different dimension and control that dimension's person of view. And Wanda did that to her, her dimensional person. And that Wanda had kids and everything, but she still had her powers. Yeah. And then at the very end of the movie, when America Chavez happened so magically, can all of a sudden control her powers, which is another thing, and Wanda gets pushed to that universe where she wants to be in, this universe's Wanda still has the same powers as the Scarlet Witch. Yeah. She might not be as strong, but there was no fight back. Like, she should still be like, hey, I'm still a mother, I still care. Let me do a fight back. No, nothing. She was just cowering and be like, oh, I see for who you are. I understand that, but it was just there was no confrontation that Wanda had, that the Scarlet Witch had.
I didn't have as much of a problem with that because, and maybe this clicked in my head, and it might not have for others, but with Wanda having dreamwalked inside of that universe's Wanda, right? So she was literally inside her head. I think that universe's Wanda had an insight into all of the pain,
their emotions
that Wanda was feeling. So she knew that even though she had done all of these terrible things, that at the root cause it was because of the love that she had for her children. That's why she looked at her and she told her, just know that they are loved.
Yeah.
And so that. Like they, while obviously she wasn't, cool with her taking over her body and killing her and taking over her life, but at the same time, rather than come at her aggressively, she came to her from a position of, I feel your pain. I know what it is that you're trying to do.
I can see that point.
And I one thing that I did appreciate was that they didn't nerf Wanda.
Yeah,
they did not nerf her, and she wasn't defeated.
Yeah,
it was ultimately she saw that she couldn't really carry out what she wanted to do because it would, she would be killing her children's mother. Her children would be utterly devastated, and she would be causing them irreparable harm. And so she ultimately was the one that said, "No, I can't do this." So like, had that not happened, she would have been able to do whatever that she wanted to do.
That makes sense. I don't know. That, to me, it just didn't hit well. The other point was right before. So throughout the movie, America Chavez is unable to control her powers, right? She cannot dimensional travel on her
At
way.
will, right.
She only gets done when she's scared. At the end of the movie, Doctor Strange kind of like convinces her. He's like, "Hey, believe in yourself. Motivational speech, whatever." And then at that moment, she gains control over her powers a little bit, which is perfectly understandable. That's how character development works. But to me, it felt like she's like, "Oh, that's all I had to do. Cool." And then she had full control over her powers.
Yeah.
Right? She just immediately was like, and she punches Wanda and was like, "Oh, this is the universe you want to go to?"
Yeah.
To me, if you're not gonna know how to control your power and then immediately learn, there should be some sort of like transition phase where you're like, okay, I'm trying to make you go to this universe or this dimension, sorry.
Yeah.
But you went to this one instead. But I understand the concept.
Yeah, no.
I think that part was rushed and it was just like.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of lazy and convenient storytelling. Like they could have very easily done like a small little montage when they were at the Wizard's Palace or whatever of them. Of them like trying some stuff, and then maybe she transports herself into the wrong universe or something like that. I mean, I can see that. We focused a lot on what we didn't like. I want to talk a little bit about the things that I did like, because there was actually a lot.
Yeah, fair.
A lot that I did like. I definitely like this movie better than Doctor Strange one. As far as origins go, Doctor Strange, did a good one. I enjoyed this story as a Doctor Strange story, independent of the hype and my disappointment and the lack of cameos. But and this is why I said I kind of wanted to rewatch it, because I feel like after rewatching this, I'm gonna feel different about it. Maybe even have a little bit of a higher score for it. I definitely. Because I know people that have absolutely loved it. But going into the things that we did, like I liked how unleashed Wanda was.
Yeah.
The cameos, although brief, were stellar. Seeing Professor X roll into the scene,
the Illuminati, So I'm gonna pause you right there. Yeah. As soon as they said that the Illuminati will see you, my heart jumped. I pulled up on my seat and I was like, and I looked around the theater for all my other comic book people. And you could tell them, like, this is the moment, because we were all waiting for the Illuminati. In the comic book are basically a collective of the smart people or the leaders of all the groups, and they make the hard decisions. That includes Reed Richards, Tony Stark, actually, Professor X, and a few others. And in the comic books, they're the ones that actually theoretically created Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, because they send Hulk off to a different planet. Yeah. But so when I saw that scene, I got very excited. And when they started introducing all the characters, Black Bolt, Captain Carter, Reed Richards, the other version of Captain Marvel, I was ecstatic. And then they introduced Professor X with his own little theme song, and I was like,
series, and they gave him the chair from the animated series.
They gave him the original chair, and I lost it. That scene itself, to me, was actually perfect.
Worth the price of admission for just that scene alone.
It was genuinely really good. All those characters are one of my favorite. Black Bolt is actually one of my favorite characters ever, so that part I really liked.
So I've heard a criticism about the movie that I absolutely disagree with, where they said that they disliked how they disrespected the Illuminati and these characters. And I actually disagree, because one of the great things and one of the smart things that I think Marvel did with this particular Illuminati is that they didn't go ahead and say, this is the Illuminati of the multiverse. They said, this is the Illuminati of this universe.
Yeah.
So that gives them the flexibility of...
There can be others.
There are other variants. So when they introduce Reed Richards, right? And then, of course, the fan casting come to life. Everybody, all the memes, all the fan casting videos that were done. Krasinski, what was it?
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski, right.
When he's in The Office and A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's been fan casted as Reed Richards for a long time on the internet. Yeah. And so I don't know if he's actually going to be Reed Richards going forward, but I mean, he definitely very well could be. Just because he was killed in this movie, because it's just a variant from this universe, means there could be other variants in other universes.
Yep.
So that was great. And again, going back into, I keep saying how Wanda was unleashed, man. The way she tore them.
I was going to. So the next part was when the Illuminati fought Wanda. That fight scene was disgusting, and I'd say that in the best way. She ripped them apart without even a second thought. Black Bolt, who is actually one of the strongest Marvel characters, she did something that I had never even thought about. You know, when she covered his mouth and his brain just blew out like a bad sneeze.
That was crazy.
I never thought that would be something that could be done. She took apart Reed Richards like string cheese. I was like, oh, remember when you were kids? That's what I thought of. She cut Captain Carter in half. Yeah, that fight scene was amazing. So yeah,
the Ultron robots. Obviously, it wasn't outright spelled out, but there was an empty chair there. I think that was supposed to be for their world's Tony Stark, and they had the Ultron robots. So the original purpose for Ultron, if you remember, is he wanted to create an AI to put into Sentries to basically put a suit of armor around the world. So
the rumor, again, this was a rumor prior to the movie, was that Tom Cruise was going to be in the movie as Iron Man, because prior to RDJ playing Iron Man in the MCU, they actually had Tom Cruise. That was their pick until Robert Downey auditioned, and they're like, nope, you're the new face of Iron Man. So that's what everyone thought that.
Well, apparently it's come out that the director, Sam Raimi, actually confirmed that that's what he wanted. But because of COVID restrictions around the time that the movie was being filmed, they weren't able to coordinate with Tom to get a schedule freed up to actually do the shooting. But wow. They actually wanted to do that.
Sam Raimi, director, I don't know if you've seen any of his movies. A lot of people that are Sam Raimi fans have said this was a very Sam Raimi movie. It was a slapstick horror film to a certain degree.
Oh, yeah. No, 100. Absolutely.
It was definitely a horror film when they're right after the Illuminati scene. They're being chased through the tunnels. And the way Wanda's walking and what she's doing.
I am surprised that Disney allowed the amount of gore and violence that we saw.
And it was only PG-13.
Yeah.
Rolling with other great parts of the movie. CGI was amazing. They actually did a really good part. Really good job with it, of course, because Marvel does really good stuff.
Wong was actually a bigger part of the movie than I expected him to be, and he was just a standout for me. Like I thought he did. The arc, there were many aspects of the story that didn't work, but his was one of the things that I felt worked the best. The aspect of his story and the way that it related to his progression with Doctor Strange. Like, it was kind of like a little bit of an inside joke about how he got to be Sorcerer Supreme because Doctor Strange was blipped for 5 years. And you could tell, like, there was, like, a little bit of resentment there from Stephen Strange. And then in the beginning of the movie where he's just like Stephen Strange wouldn't bow to him. And the others were like, oh, it's just custom and everything. But the one, he was bold enough to try to take on Wanda by himself.
Yeah.
He put up a fairly decent fight, all thoughts considered. And just, yeah, overall, I was really impressed with his character. And then to kind of wrap it around with Doctor Strange at the end, where, he comes back and he's like, oh yeah, I couldn't have done this without you. We don't have to go through this alone. And, Doctor Strange bowed to him kind of. And it showed progression in Strange's characters, because one of the things that they had said to him was the other version of Rachel McAdams' character. I forget the character name. Christine.
Yeah. Where his love interest.
Right, where it was like, why didn't it work out between us? And she said, oh, because you always feel like you have to be the one holding the knife. And so it was one of those character flaws, basically, that he didn't know how to not feel all that pressure on himself, or how to basically share the load. And
he basically a control freak. He has control issues.
Yeah,
is what it was.
But so it showed good character progression. It showed good storytelling from one movie to the next. Speaking of Doctor Strange, I struggled a little bit with how I felt his story progressed, because I thought that we kind of walked back a little bit of the progress, even though I think it's kind of like a roller coaster with his progress, because, you know, his whole problem has always been his arrogance, and it's always been how he is, you know, way too prideful. You know, part of his issue with being a surgeon is that, you know, he thought he was the hot shit. He was an arrogant hot shot surgeon. He lost the use of his hands. And I think a lot of the stuff that went on in Spider-Man was because he was, you know, being arrogant and stuff like that. So it was nice to kind of see him a little bit humbling himself, but then, you know, at the same time, maybe seeing through the other universes' versions of himself, kind of seeing what that ultimately leads to, what the arrogance ultimately leads to. I liked how they used the line from Spider-Man with the alternate Doctor Strange, where he was about to steal America Chavez's power for himself. Yeah. And he goes, in the grand calculus of the multiverse, your sacrifice is worth significantly more than your life. And that's what Strange told Peter about the other villains from the other universe. That, you know, their sacrifice is worth more than their lives. So I thought that was an interesting thing for them to play upon. Yeah. How he killed that I don't know if we're calling it Evil Doctor Strange or Supreme Strange, or I'm not sure what they were calling it, but anyway.
Yeah, the way that fight, like I said at the beginning, that fight with the Beethoven music battle was hilarious. It was very good. I definitely enjoyed it, and then he threw him out the window and on spikes. Yeah.
And I think a similar thing that happened to the What If Doctor Strange was happening in that universe. Like, that universe was tearing itself apart.
To a degree. So I've heard a lot of things that it was the same universe. I've heard a lot of things that it's the same Doctor Strange from the What If universe. I don't think so. No. Because that Doctor Strange, that universe collapsed on itself. Yeah. This was something completely different. It might have been similar, but it was different.
Okay, so this was kind of what this will lead a little bit into what I was talking about earlier, with them actually doing a little bit of world building. So they talked about one of the reasons why the Illuminati arrested him when he got over there to that world was because they were talking about something called Incursions. Okay, are you familiar at all with?
Yeah.
Okay. So with the Incursions, right? It's basically the center point of these incursions, for whatever reason, it's the Earths, and it's two Earths from two separate universes colliding into each other. Yep. And so basically these universes are essentially merging, and they're merging at such a pace that if allowed to go uncontrolled, both universes would be destroyed. Yeah. So they've discovered that if one of the Earths is destroyed, it'll save one of the universes. Yep. So whatever Earth gets destroyed, that universe would be destroyed. But the other one would survive. So it's basically one of those, well, either we all die or one of us dies. So it's kind of one of those things. So the Illuminati, so the Darkhold, the magic that it uses creates the Incursions somehow. And when the Doctor Strange from that universe used the Darkhold to try to defeat their version of Thanos during their version of Avengers Endgame, it created an Incursion. And so they were able to stop. It wasn't outright, but I think the implication was said that basically they had to stop an incursion by destroying a universe, and all those billions of lives that was destroyed. That way, once they defeated Thanos, that's why they killed their version of Doctor Strange, because he said, I can't be trusted. I have to be responsible for what I did. Because
he had the Darkhold, and he could do it again or take over. and just destroy worlds in his path.
The thing about the Incursions is it leads into Secret Wars.
Yes.
And so that is a huge comic book series. It there's two versions of it. There's classic Secret Wars from the 70s and more recently the 2015 run of Secret Wars. But the 2015 run was absolutely amazing.
I actually like the newer one better. The 80s one, though very entertaining, and they introduce a lot of different characters and different versions of characters. I think the storyline wasn't as strong. Obviously, it was also written in the 80s, and it was a different time. But the one that was made recently it's definitely really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how they implement some of those elements going in. And they definitely laid the foundation for it with the mention of Incursions, because they didn't have to. Like they could have left that out, and then I think the story wouldn't have suffered. And then of course the end credit scene, Charlize Theron.
By the way, who was the character? I didn't recognize the outfit at all.
It's Dormammu's niece. I forget her name. But she comes from the Dark Dimension. She's the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension.
Because I remember when she at the end credit scene when she comes around and she slices to another world, the background looks like Dormammu.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah,
what's going on?
Yeah, it's the Dark Dimension. Like I said, she's the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension. And she was saying about the Doctor Strange caused an incursion and that they were going to go stop it. In the comics, in the setup to Secret Wars, she does do the same thing. She does try to stop incursions with Doctor Strange. She's normally a love interest for Doctor Strange. I think they've even been married in the comics before. Yeah, so
that much
I don't remember her name off the top of my head.
Gotcha. No worries.
We didn't even talk about Zombie Strange.
So one of the things that I thought was very interesting was when you are dream walking, you can take over another body like Wanda did. So Strange does it, but he takes over a dead body, becoming zombie Doctor Strange. I thought it was very clever. It was definitely a different take. I don't even think people in that universe were like, that's possible.
Yeah, when I saw in the trailers, because they showed zombie Doctor Strange, I thought it might have to have something to do with like the Marvel Zombies universe.
Yeah, or the What If series.
But them using it for him to be able to dream walk back.
Puppet.
Yeah, that was kind of wild.
The two parts that I did not like. One was as soon as they awaken zombie Doctor Strange and he creates the portal to go to the temple. When they pan his face, this is what I was mentioning earlier. The physical makeup that they did for him, you could tell that they forgot to do under the eyes. So the makeup was amazing, but right here you could tell it was Benedict Cumberbatch. He had a regular skin, no makeup, regular eyes, nothing. And I'm just me and Linda were like, somebody messed up. The very next scene, makeup looks great.
So it might have been just like a frame.
They added the bottom part. They added some blood. I think they even changed his eye color. I can't remember. But that one scene, you're like, somebody for that one brief moment, that one take, they forgot to do that makeup. The other thing that I did not like about, well, it wasn't the zombie. When the zombie came out, there were souls that were coming out saying this is forbidden.
Yeah.
So Doctor Strange had warned Christine to be like, hey, please take care of my body. And she, while trying to fight off these demons or souls, she got this weapon and just immediately knew how to use it. And I had a query about that. She broke glass, got this cauldron, and then just picked up a random fire, and she knew that if she touches the fire to the cauldron, it's going to create this fire shotgun thing that's going to clear the souls. how did she know to do that? It was not explained. It was not like it happened by accident. She saw 2 items and she's like, this goes with this, and I have to hold it this way and do this,
Well,
and it's magically going to do something.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I get that. I get that.
That was one thing that another reason why I think it had a pitfall. I think zombie Doctor Strange, very clever. Very next scene, lacking.
Yeah.
Right. So it was things like that. But that was my opinion on the zombie Doctor Strange. What about you?
I didn't see it coming. Like I said, I thought they were gonna do like a Marvel Zombies thing version. Maybe a bunch of zombies come out of nowhere. I didn't.
Different universe, different dimension.
I did not see them doing a weekend at Doctor Strange. so that was pretty. Yeah. That was pretty cool. But yeah, to the effect that it was used, it was pretty great. And then that final battle, the conclusion of the movie, like I said, I love that they didn't nerf Wanda and they went with her ultimately coming to her senses. Mm-hmm. And then of course, her destroying the Temple of the Darkhold, which I don't know if anybody actually believes that she's dead. Like,
I think she will come back. Yeah, there's no because she did not want anybody else to use the Darkhold, and as they mentioned, nobody now is going to be able to use the Darkhold. She basically eradicated the Darkhold book and scripture from all the universes. Yeah, supposedly. And then lifts the tower and just drops it on herself.
How useless was the Book of the Vishanti? That was one of my other major kind of gripes.
It was like, well, now we're screwed.
It's like, this book is going to solve all of your problems. Oh my god, I got the book. It burns in my hands.
Yeah, I don't understand how... I mean, I get it. She shot it with her witchcraft and it burns, but they said that there's multiple Darkhold scriptures and books. Mm-hmm. That means theoretically there should be multiple Book of Vishanti, or
supposedly there was only one.
Okay, fair, but no, I don't know, because the Book of Vishanti is the other part of the Darkhold. Mm-hmm. It is the opposite. It's the counterbalance. Yeah. Now the Darkhold was a book, but is also a scripture written as on a temple. Does that mean that there's also that for the Book of Vishanti?
I would think so.
Right.
And then again, that was kind of the other thing too, which all the copies of the Darkhold were destroyed, but that temple was destroyed. Does that mean that temple is destroyed in every universe? Because if there's another temple, like, I mean, there's again.
There's
also
multi-theory, but yeah. So, any final thoughts on Doctor Strange?
Like I said, it was a much more self-contained story than what I was expecting going in. That is the only reason why I gave it 3.5 stars. I was expecting more Spider-Man No Way Home type satisfaction, and regardless of looking back on it, and I feel better about the story after having revisited and having tapered some of my expectations. I'm probably going to watch it again before the theatrical run runs out, just because now that I know a little bit more about what I'm getting myself into, I think I can probably enjoy the story a little bit better instead of sitting there waiting to see who's going to come around the corner.
Yeah, fair.
But at the same time, though, initial expectations are what they are, and unfortunately, like I said, I left the theater feeling a little bit underwhelmed, a little bit disappointed. But at the end of the day, I think it was a story worth telling? Yes. And do I think it was worth watching? Yes.
Fair. I agree to a certain degree. I think it was an okay movie. I gave it 3.5 hearts. I think it was, the story lacked, to me, the story lacked a little bit. It wasn't 100%, it wasn't there. And it had some great parts. The Illuminati dimension was great. Everything about that part. Yeah. So, but I think that's everything.
Yeah. But overall, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm probably gonna watch it again. And now we begin gearing up for Thor.
Yeah. So that was our final thoughts. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned as we review more stuff down the line.
Hi everybody, thanks for watching our content. As we gear up to continue having our channel grow, we're nearing our 100th subscriber. We're doing a giveaway for this great Stan Lee collectible. We're very excited about this. If you want to be eligible to win this bad boy, need you to like, subscribe, and leave a comment under the video. That way we can choose the winner as soon as we get to that 100th subscriber. We're very excited for the upcoming content. We've got lots of movies that are coming out that we're going to review. We're very, very excited. Thanks, guys, for watching. Bye.
If you like our videos, please subscribe and hit the like button.